Good evening, everyone. I think the problem is with the fire alarm. I think we all raised our voices, and I think it hasn't yet gone back down. So I'll be very, very brief. Hello, everyone. I'm Salem Shuckman. I am chair of the Board of Managers, and I'm delighted to welcome you all this evening to the 6th Annual Garnet Hall of Fame Banquet. Tonight's gathering is first and foremost an opportunity to honor those athletes who are joining Swarthmore's Hall of Fame. We have an outstanding group this year. They include a member of a world title-winning women's lacrosse team, a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, and a group of men's lacrosse teams from one of the most successful periods of Swarthmore's program. But in addition to celebrating these wonderful athletes, tonight is an opportunity to affirm the powerful lessons learned through dedication, teamwork, and physical fitness required of athletic endeavors. These lessons are the embodiment of Swarthmore's mission to educate the whole person and lead for the common good, and they are carried on well beyond an athlete's time on campus. That's why supporting Swarthmore's athletics means so much more than helping our students set records or win championships, though that's good too. But it is also a way to build community and lasting ties. I think the motto of the newly formed Garnet Club Advancement Council is who support our athletics program through advice, counsel, and volunteer programming for our students, parents, alumni, and friends captures this well. I'd like to ask the members of the council to stand up and be recognized if they could at this time. We are blessed at Swarthmore with many alumni who volunteer in many different ways, and this is just one of them. So the council's goals are expressed in a simple but powerful acronym, GAME, G-A-M-E, generosity, advocacy, mentorship, and engagement. And those are the values that the Swarthmore Athletics program instills, and we celebrate them here tonight. So to the new inductees to our Hall of Fame, congratulations and good game. And to all of you joining us here tonight, thank you for supporting our college and its talented athletes, and I hope you enjoy the evening. Thank you.
I am delighted to see all of you, and I am thrilled that you're having so much fun. I mean, how you doing? Good. This is a great crowd tonight. I love the volume of noise, the energy, the enthusiasm. It's just great to be here this evening for this annual celebration. We'll be honoring the Garnet throughout the weekend with team events today and tomorrow, the pep rally tonight, and a family-friendly tailgate tomorrow. I hope that you'll all be able to enjoy some, if not all, of these activities and keep tonight's celebration going. So this year's Hall of Fame honorees span the decades from the 1930s to the early 21st century. They represent 8 different teams: baseball, men's and women's basketball, field hockey, football, men's and women's lacrosse, and women's soccer. And all of these teams and individuals make us proud. Tonight, we recognize Leland, Elizabeth, Michelle, Robert, Catherine, and the 1982 to 85 men's lacrosse dynasty. I think we know where all the volume has been coming from this evening. We recognize all of these individuals and teams for their legacy at Swarthmore and for their contributions to community and society. I'd like to take a moment to thank the committee of coaches, staff, and alumni who selected this year's inductees from an impressive pool. I also want to thank the alumni, parents, faculty, students, and staff who are volunteering their valuable time to the newly formed Garnet Club Advancement Council. Salem introduced the members of this council to you earlier this evening. I look forward to the impact they will have as their work gets underway. So thank you all so much. I want to echo what Salem said earlier about the college's mission to educate the whole student. Everyone in this room knows that when you attend a college like Swarthmore, you don't just go to class and then graduate. As a liberal arts college committed to educating students for doing good in the world, we provide myriad co-curricular opportunities to support learning and development across a variety of dimensions, preparing students for productive, engaged lives, and athletics is fundamental to that mission. As our student athletes develop teamwork, resilience, self-discipline, and empathy, they are cultivating values as well as skills. These values are as necessary on the field, track, and court, and in the pool as they are in the classroom, lab, on the stage, and in the residence hall, and they will be deeply significant in their lives after college. Tonight's Hall of Fame honorees embody these values. Congratulations to you all, and thank you for being here. Enjoy the evening. I will turn it over now to Adam.
So I do want to thank you, President Smith, Salem, Charlie, for your noteworthy words and your commitment to and continued support of Swarthmore College athletics. And somebody left this "Changing Lives, Changing the World" Swarthmore leaflet up here, which I'm paying attention to, and you should too, and make Swarthmore and Swarthmore athletics a better place tomorrow and going forward. Welcome, all of you, as we celebrate the induction of the 7th class of the Swarthmore Athletics Hall of Fame. You know, over the course of an academic year, there are 4 special occasions that I look forward to. The first comes every August when we get to welcome all of our first-year athletes in and get so excited for their careers. And then there's commencement, obviously, when we get to witness with pride as our athletes walk across the stage in the amphitheater and graduate and move out of the nest. The annual athletic banquets provides an opportunity for some 300 of us to gather and recognize and celebrate the achievements of our teams and even start thinking about some future Hall of Famers. And then there's tonight, this special event that provides an opportunity to remember, recognize, and commemorate those past accomplishments together with teammates, family, and friends. It allows us to better understand just how much this athletic program has been able to accomplish over the course of its history and what incredible athletes have dotted our lifeline. Whether at the conference, the regional, or the national level, we've earned the highest levels of athletic success without sacrificing the intellectual integrity that's so unique to Swarthmore. You've earned the highest levels of recognition, gone on to outstanding professional careers, and brought distinction to our college community. When I talk about our goals for the athletic program with our athletes, the first thing I tell our students is that I want us to wear the S with pride. Occasions like this remind us that we should be proud not only of what we are accomplishing, but for what we have already accomplished throughout our history. And we are proud indeed to wear the S. When the search committee convenes to consider the nominations for each Hall of Fame class, we really get a sense of this pride. It's inspiring to read through the nominations, and it's also quite humbling when we get into some of the accomplishments and discuss the incredible legacy of so many members of our family. It also makes selecting each class as challenging as it is exciting, as there are so many stories that merit consideration. I can't thank the committee enough for their time, objectivity, and dedication to this process, which has led us to the unanimous consensus of this year's class. So without further ado, let's begin to meet the class of 2018. 38. 38. That's what Michele Fowler-Stewart saw in her first action as a goalkeeper for Swarthmore Soccer's first varsity game. 38 shots at Michele Fowler. To her credit, she hung in there that day and continued for 4 years, helping build a foundation for a program that is now one of the top teams in the country. Michele made a pretty immediate impact as a soccer player, being described as by one of her nominators as maybe as good as Hope Solo. The two-time captain was a lot busier than Hope, I can guarantee you that, making 26 saves in a single game in 1983. That's something some soccer goalkeepers don't do in an entire season. In fact, she still holds record for season saves for the 1984 and 1985 seasons. On the hard court, Michele led the basketball team to 3 consecutive winning seasons and a PAIAW championship. Her prowess is evident when you check the basketball records. Her marks have withstood the test of time and the addition of the three-point arc. She still holds the school record for field goals, is second all-time in scoring, 5th in career steals, 9th in free throw attempts, and 10th in free throws made. Currently living in New Hope, Pennsylvania, and working as the Director of New Business Development at Johnson & Johnson. From the class of 1986, Michele Fowler-Stewart, welcome to the Swarthmore Athletics Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much, and good evening, everybody. I'm just gonna set this down. I'm just wanting to start by just congratulating all of the inductees this evening. It's such an honor to be here with you, and I'm quite humbled to be enjoying this evening with all of you. And I thought these past weeks about what I might talk about, and it would be so easy for me to reflect upon the amazing years that I got to spend with the teammates that I got to spend it with, in the sports that I got to play, and everything I learned through those games and through those teams. And some words were used tonight about teamwork and resilience and competition and friendship and fun and winning and losing. And I carry all of those with me, and I know that they've played a big part in my career at Johnson & Johnson, where I've spent my life post Swarthmore. But I thought I'd come at it slightly different tack. What wasn't mentioned is I actually did play softball as well. And it wasn't noted because it wasn't particularly notable that I played the sport. And there's some things that have occurred in my career had occurred here that really shaped me. And this one particular example was playing softball game, and I was up at bat, and we were playing a very competitive team. I don't recall who it was exactly, but I was actually up at bat, getting ready. I knew I was going to hit a good one. And coach called timeout, and coach pulled me. I was demoralized. I was humiliated. It really hit my psyche. But I played it cool. I went back and I sat down, and I'm pretty sure I probably cried about it. But that said, it taught me something upon reflection many years later, and I'll get into that a little bit more. Move over to basketball. In basketball, I actually came to Swarthmore in large part because of the coach that was coaching basketball at the time. And when I joined Swarthmore, and when I came to start the season of basketball my freshman year, shortly after the season started, she mentioned that she was leaving. And through that 4 years, I had 3 different coaches. And that was quite of an experience because you never knew what you were getting and how to perform and how to get to know somebody and the effect on the team. I'll tell you, it was a great pulling together of the team spirit, though, because you never quite knew what would happen. And we had some pretty interesting experiences with some of the coaches, I can say that. And then in soccer, I think that you'll appreciate this one. I was playing a game at home up on the hill, and with the team. It was a gray day. It wasn't quite rainy, but it was a gray day. And my defense person was in front of me, and as is customary, she was kicking the ball back to me so I could take it and put it back into play. And when she kicked it at me, she scored a goal. I didn't save that. And, okay, things happen, let's let it go, let's get back on with the game. Game went on, there was another opportunity for her to kick the ball back to me. I moved away from the goal this time. She scored another goal. It doesn't stop there. She scored a third, yes she did. 3 goals on that particular day. You learn a lot of lessons. And I think why I wanted to share those examples, they're not necessarily the customary bright examples that one would share, but they've been so formative in my life because when I reflect upon them, I have a woman who works in the organization who was once my boss. And while she didn't coin this term, I thought for many years that she had, that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. And I'm not sure how we responded to all of those things when I was young. But remembering them now and remembering how to respond has played such a big part in who I am as a professional, who I am as a human, who I am as a friend, a partner, a family member. And I'm so grateful for those. And I'll leave it with just a few more things. I was lucky enough to play nearly every game in my time here at Swarthmore. I was playing one particular soccer game, and I had a one-on-one with the opponent. And I went out to make the save, and as I was making the save, the opponent kicked the ball and dislocated my thumb. And I went into the field house at the time, got my thumb put back into place, and I wanted to go back out and play. They wouldn't let me do that. So I don't even remember who finished out the game and how the game went. I tried to be a trooper. I was in a lot of pain, but I thought I could recover very quickly. And the next game was a game with Villanova, and I so badly wanted to play that game with Villanova. And they wouldn't let me play. So I missed that one game. That's the only game I ever missed in my career. But the interesting thing was that the person who was playing backup goalie had never played goalie in her Swarthmore time and had only played it a few times when she was in high school. So she was very nervous, very afraid. She didn't think she could do it, and I spent a lot of time just speaking with her in advance of the game. And I told her that I would stand behind her and coach her for the whole game. This woman, I don't want to take credit for this because she played the game. But what was so profound to me was the impact that coaching had on her as a player. And she played a phenomenal game. And so I take that as the last point that I wanted to make about the impact of coaching on my life. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for my teammates. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my family. But most importantly, I just want to thank all the coaches that played such a significant part in my life. And I just want to name a few of them. My 8th and 9th grade basketball coach, Coach Furdock, who really started me on the game. In high school, Coach Miller, who coached me in soccer. I'll get back to track in a minute. Basketball, Coach Stewicki, who was the assistant basketball coach in my high school career. And here in college, there was Dave Smoyer, who was an exceptional coach for 4 years of soccer. In the last 2 years of my time playing basketball, Deirdre Kane really made an impact on me and was essential in me realizing what my potential could be, and nearly convinced me to go to Italy and play basketball until I got pressured by my family to go get a real job. So I passed up on that. But what I wanted to say, because I'm so privileged to have her here with me this evening, is Coach Arneson Grasso, who was my track coach in high school, and doesn't really realize the significance of the impact that she had on my life, because I got to see her as both a coach as well as an athlete through my time getting to know her. She was her first year coach when I was in high school, and we got to know each other very well. And I'm just so honored to have you here tonight, recognizing this evening with me, and thank you so very much. I just want to thank all of you. That's it. Thanks.
You know, it can be difficult to gauge the success of our nominees over time. Our archives aren't always the greatest. sometimes statistics don't tell the whole story, and the way the games have changed sometimes impacts how we perceive performance. But regardless of all that, let's make no mistake, Liz Gilbert Osterman is one of the elite athletes of her era. In fact, she's a former member of the department who was on staff during Liz's career, recollects her as the best female athlete he saw during his time at Swarthmore, and the Delaware County Times called her one of the most talented female athletes Swarthmore had seen in decades. Liz was a force to be reckoned with as a field hockey and lacrosse athlete, but her talents also took her to the squash courts, which used to sit on this very site. So, in fact, you're sitting on squash court floor right now. She was the captain on a field hockey team that lost just 6 times in 40 games. She was named to the All-Philadelphia area and college national team 3 times during that span and qualified to play in the USFHA national tournament. She also led the lacrosse team as an attack player, named to the all-college team for 4 straight years, and she became the first Swarthmore player to earn first team honors on the USWL national squad. Liz continued her lacrosse career post-Swarthmore as she was named to the United States squad and toured the world representing our country on the field. In 1981, she was part of a U.S. squad that won the World Championship. During a time when there were no NCAA divisions and women's sports didn't have their national championships, Liz Gilbert Osterman excelled at the highest levels, collegiately, nationally, and globally. Currently living in Maryland with her husband Richard, also a Swarthmore alum, from the class of 1977, Liz Gilbert Osterman, welcome to the Swarthmore Athletic Hall of Fame.
Good evening, and thanks for those remarks, Adam. First, let me say it is quite an honor to be here, and thank you to Brenda Perkins for putting pen and to paper and nominating me, and to my brother Tom Gilbert, who's also an alum, for providing the athletic department with photos of me. I also want to recognize all of my friends and family who are here today. You have cheered me on, played with me, written about me in the Swarthmore Bulletin. Thank you, Sandy. And most importantly, always supported me. And while I'm at it, as many of us had, I want to give a shout out to Ernie over there, who is a Swarthmore institution. Ernie has always been my cheerleader, and I always appreciate him. So thank you all. As I was thinking about what to share with you this evening, I thought about discussing Swarthmore College as a supporter of women, both intellectually and athletically. It is indisputably that, although not always providing equal access to its women athletes. So I considered talking about Title IX, enacted the year before I matriculated here, and how it impacted life for female athletes at the college. For example, although Doug Weiss, our beloved athletic trainer, had always supported female athletes, he often provided services to female athletes at odd times and odd places. I see heads nodding. With Title IX came women's access to the athletic training room. Now, the men's locker room opens directly into the training room. So maybe that doesn't mean anything to all of you, but imagine the feelings and shock of the men and women when the men walked stark naked through that door into the training room. So that didn't last too much longer after that development. But I really wanted to share just a few things about the importance of sports in my life. I grew up on Long Island, and my first specific memory of myself in formal sports is 8th grade basketball. It was there that my coach took me aside to tell me that it was all right, but I was never going to be an athlete. So as I think about it, I think that was an early push. I left that school for Westtown School in Pennsylvania, where I learned the foundational skills and discipline to start me out in sports and in academics. I graduated from Westtown to come to Swarthmore, another Quaker school that firmly supports women intellectually and athletically. Of course, part of my orientation at Swarthmore College was preseason field hockey on Cunningham Fields across the train tracks. And I've done some fact checking on this, and this is true. First, I had to figure out how to get there, which of course was true. But second, I had to deal with the fact that there were no bathroom facilities on the field. Despite Title IX, this continued to be the case for years. Third, and most importantly, I encountered the critical link to my development at Swarthmore, and that was the tiny powerhouse that was Pete Hess, also a member of Swarthmore's Athletic Hall of Fame. Not only was she a skilled coach, but she built my self-confidence and taught me humility and drive. At the time, there was no NCAA for women's sports. Instead, each female athlete competed individually for the teams that went to national tournaments, and from there to compete to be on the national teams. I was from little Swarthmore. Remember, it was about 1,200 students when I attended Swarthmore. It's not that much bigger now. Competing against the powerhouses of UPenn, Westchester, and Ursinus, which provided most of the members of the national teams at that time. Pete taught me that I had to fight for my place on those teams. She taught me that sometimes I had to rebel, surely a Swarthmore trait, and to be myself, that is to play my own game on those teams. And it was the skills, drive, and confidence that I acquired here, in large part as a result of her coaching, that made me stand out and ultimately earn me a place on the national team, lacrosse team. I should also say that Pete forced me out of my comfort zone of team sports and pushed me to play on the squash team, as you've heard. I can't say I was ever a brilliant player, but it was a lot of fun. Finally, what have athletics, and particularly Swarthmore athletics, meant to me? Swarthmore allowed me the opportunity to play sports well and at the highest levels. Swarthmore academics, and a lot of you can share this with me, were the counterweight to the hard work of Swarthmore academics. But also, Swarthmore athletics taught me to stand up for myself, to get back up after failure, and to work as part of a team. The skills and strengths I learned at Swarthmore have been the foundation of my adult life and my career in the practice of law, and I never forget that. I truly appreciate the honor bestowed on me today. Thank you all.
Got my trading card with me. On the back of it, it says, Lee MacPhail, Hall of Fame, 1998. That would be the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Leland Stanford MacPhail. It couldn't be a bad guy. They named a university after him. So he was a 4-year member of the football team and helped lead a program that was 1-6 in his freshman year to a team that went 5-1-1 in his senior season. His baseball career went very much like his football career, as Lee, playing third base, transformed a 1-8 program into one that went 8-5-1 in his senior season. That's 14 games, Coach McKiff. After graduating, Lee began a remarkable career in professional baseball. He worked with the New York Yankees, was general manager for Kansas City, and then president and GM of the Baltimore Orioles before becoming president of the American League, where he oversaw the expansion of the league to 14 teams and presided over one of the more controversial decisions in baseball, that notorious pine tar decision. I can still remember George Brett's storming out of the dugout, cheeks full of chewing tobacco, spitting it all over the place when the umpires reversed his 9th inning home run that he had hit to give his team the lead, and subsequently ending the game, giving the Yankees the win. The Royals ended up protesting that game and decision, and Lee MacPhail upheld their protest, determining that the home run was good, and ordering the game to restart from the point just after that home run. It was a game that the Royals would hold on to eventually win, and one that is etched in memory of a lot of people from that era. Lee was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1998, as I said earlier, making he and his father the only family duo to be enshrined. When Lee passed in 2012 at the age of 95, he was also the oldest living member of the Hall of Fame. This long overdue recognition is posthumous, and we are honored to have Lee's son, Andy MacPhail, also making his mark in Major League Baseball as president of the Phillies, with us tonight to accept for the MacPhail family.
There are actually a lot of other stories to go with what Adam was saying, but we don't have time for that tonight. But the first thing I can tell you is my father would be very disappointed in me if the very first thing I didn't do was congratulate Matt on the season that his baseball team had last year. Getting out of Now, as Adam alluded to, my dad was very fortunate to win a lot of awards over the course of his career. And he was always very modest about it. You know, when he accepted his Hall of Fame speech, it could be, a variety of other guys up here. I just got lucky, whatever it is, whatever award, he was very modest. But I will tell you that this one, he really would be tickled with and pleased because he loved Swarthmore College. And the reason I know that is because my brothers and I had to listen to story after story after story about Swarthmore College. He seldom missed an opportunity to come back here. I will give you an example. I played baseball in high school and college. When my dad moved back to New York, I'm going to school in the Bronx. We had a baseball game. I swear the field was touched. Yankee Stadium was adjacent. Couldn't make it, too busy. I went to Dickinson College. We played twice here at Swarthmore. He made the trek. He was there for everything. Coach Ernie knows it. He saw it. He was telling me about it at lunch. He wouldn't miss a thing. It's a funny story about, if you're a baseball fan, how he came to Swarthmore. He was on a trip. He was going to William and Mary, Washington and Lee, University of Virginia. And they made one side stop at Swarthmore. At whose recommendation? Branch Rickey's, another Hall of Famer. And his daughter was going here. So he saw it. He fell in love with it. My dad wrote an autobiography, and his, obviously Swarthmore went in there, and I just want to give you this quote: "I could not have made a more fortunate choice." And that's truly how he felt. I think what he was most grateful for was the overall experience he got here. He writes it in his book. He was the president of the Interfraternity Council. He was president of his fraternity. He had many lifelong friends here, and he got letters in baseball and football. And no offense, but I really don't think this form at third base isn't exactly how they teach it today. Dad, I love you, but he would tell a story about, and we've heard this story, I can't tell you how many times. Swarthmore goes up to West Point, big win in a baseball game. He's really delighted. The coach is just beside himself. He's congratulating every member of the team. He comes up to my dad and goes, "Lee, you had an exceptional game in the field today." So my father was happy, and then he starts to reflect on it. Nobody hit a ball to him all year. Then really, I got to start to think about it. I'm really grateful that he went to Swarthmore, because it's here where he met Jane Hamilton and got married. No Jane Hamilton, no Lee MacPhail, no, where am I? Completely selfish on my part. But the other thing I would tell you is that, it's funny how life goes. That there was another Swarthmore connection that ended up impacting me. Was now my dad moves from Baltimore to New York, take a job in the commissioner's office, and where is little Andy going to go to school? Little Andy wasn't the greatest student, so this might be a little bit of an issue. And Well, little Andy winds up in the prestigious Riverdale Country Day. How did that happen? Well, the headmaster was, did we lose the mic? Where were we? How bad a student Andy was. Somebody did that, all right. Anyway, how did Andy get into the prestigious Riverdale Country Day? The headmaster was John H. Jones, classmate at Swarthmore. So the benefits just kept coming. His affection for Swarthmore never waned. And, you know, one of the reasons that we knew this as a family, well into my dad's 80s, he'd either go to or from visiting classmates at Swarthmore. It was really a lifelong passion for him. And again, Ernie brought this up at the table, and as the last piece of evidence, when my dad retired after 45 years in baseball, then Commissioner Peter Ueberroth was trying to figure out what can we give Lee to recognize what he's accomplished in baseball. And he really hit the nail on the head. He gave a $50,000 donation to Swarthmore College. So on behalf of my dad, thank you.
I did have the privilege of meeting Lee in Connecticut, I think, and he was truly one of the most gracious, humble men I've ever met, and I'm better for knowing him. And that microphone cutting off thing, that was supposed to be for Jim Noyes. Come on. This is my homage to Johnny Carson. Rob Ruffin. How do you instill fear into the hearts of opposing football teams? Rob was a 4-year starting linebacker, dominating offensive lines, quarterbacks, and running backs. As a freshman, he had 104 tackles, 103 as a sophomore, and 123 as a junior. The 2 times All-Centennial performer earned All-America recognition in his junior year, and he was on his way to a repeat performance in his senior year when he suffered a torn ACL early in the season. Let's put a pin in that, though. As a basketball player, the answer to the question, how do you dominate the paint, is also Rob Ruffin. He was a defensive and offensive force for the Garnet for 4 years, graduating with the record for blocks and rebounds. As a freshman, he led the MAC in rebounding, points per game, field goal percentage, and blocks. As a junior, he led the program to the MAC Southeast Division title, recording 233 rebounds, 45 blocks, as the team won a program best 17 games. Okay, flashback to the ACL. The fall of Rob's senior year. A torn ACL that takes most people a year to recover from. I've been told that one could feel the collective heartbreak of the campus when news of the ACL injury started circulating. Thoughts of a repeat championship game in basketball were now seemingly impossible. Remarkably, Rob returned to the basketball team, helping them shake off an 0-9 start and leading them to 11 wins and back into playoff contention. In those 18 games, he pulled down 88 rebounds and recorded 13 blocks. On one knee, people. He did recover from his injury, and after graduating from Swarthmore, went on to get his MBA from Harvard. Rob is currently living in Massachusetts, where he's a vice president for Bain & Company Consulting. From the class of 1992, welcome Rob Ruffin to the Swarthmore Athletics Hall of Fame.
So before I get started, can I please say these pictures, people do not think I could dunk at all. Like, the people I work with are like, you were an athlete? I'm like, I really was. But thank you so much. Like the other folks who've been inducted so far today, I'm very honored, I'm very happy, I'm very proud and humbled to be part of this, this great community. And we were asked to speak for 5 or 6 minutes, and like everyone else, I thought about what should I say, what's had an impact on my life from Swarthmore, and I thought of 4 things. It's teams, it's your starting position doesn't dictate your ending position, it's be in the moment and don't get too high up on yourself, and a little bit about 3-a-day practices in the summer. So I'll start with team. You know, I've had a wonderful team my entire life. My family, my mom, Lance here, my wife, Carrie. A bunch of teammates are here. Chip, best quarterback ever. Rob Howard. He probably just developed 18 months after I did, but he's the best basketball player I've ever seen at Swarthmore College. Joe Cartwriter, 160-pound defensive tackle, taking on blockers for me. Steely, Felon, so many people, I probably forgot someone, but I've just had a great team. And as I've grown in life, it's like it's not about the individual, no matter how talented you may be or think you are. If you don't have a great team around you, you're not going to get to your full potential. So always get a good team there. And one person I do want to mention on my team, he's no longer here, he's passed away, but the person who got me into Swarthmore College, Howard Layton. Some of the folks may know him who are a little bit older. The people in our class used to joke and say he was my dad. He actually wasn't my dad. He was just a big fan. You know, when I was 9 years old, I was playing Pop Warner football, and he pulled me and another guy aside, and he took us to the Delaware State high school football game. And he's like, "You're going to play in this game." I'm like, "I'm 9. These are grown men." And he's like, "Not now, Rob. Later." I'm like, "Okay." Probably when I was like 13 years old, he's like, "You're going to go to Swarthmore College and play football." I'm like, "Okay." I don't know what Swarthmore College is or where it is. Fast forward, I played in that game, ended up at Swarthmore College. He was the biggest fan, such a big fan. I think they actually threw a penalty on him in the stands for disrupting one of our games. So, but the big thing is I've been blessed with a great team. I see Chad here. He battled when I had my knee injury too. But teams are very important. I try to build great teams around me, and I now call them my personal board of directors as opposed to a team. Like, who do I lean on when I need help and advice? The next kind of, your starting position doesn't dictate your ending position. And I say that because at Swarthmore, when I came, I think we were 2-8 the first year in football. Basketball, we weren't very successful. But then it slowly started to turn around, and we didn't have as much talent maybe or as many people, but we figured out a way to not outdo other bigger, stronger teams, but figure out how we could change our position to do better. And I've taken that to life. You know, you can't get upset if things don't seem to be going your way. Like, change your starting position a little bit, change the odds in your favor, and things can happen too. You can be more successful. The next, enjoy the moment and don't get too stuck on yourself. So, ACL. We had a great basketball season junior year, had a great football season junior year. Some of us may have been a little bit high on themselves. And I'll say that I remember having a conversation where we were 7-3, right, in the MAC conference, and Florida State at the time is the best team in the country. So we literally said if we played Florida State that year, that we wouldn't have beaten them, but it would have been like 30-10, and like they would have beat us by 300 points. Like, that's how we were a little bit off. But anyway, you know, I think my knee injury, even though it was like devastating at the moment, I think it was important. It's like, stay in the moment, don't take things for granted. You can get hurt or something can be taken away from you instantly. So enjoy what you have. Don't get too high because it can be taken away, and always just stay present. So that's one of the things I've tried to take to my life now. And the last, somewhat similar, is 3-day practices in August. And I've said to this day, it's like, I did that, so I can do anything. There's like anything that comes up in my life, I'm like, you know what? I did 3 days in August. I can handle this. So just to round it up real short, I love Swarthmore. I love Swarthmore Athletics. If it wasn't for Swarthmore Athletics, I wouldn't have been here. My career wouldn't have been the same. I wouldn't have met my lovely wife, because who knows where I would have ended up. And if I would have met her, I wouldn't have been like mature enough that she would have talked to me. You know, I love my teammates. You know, you can change your starting position to end up in a better place. Don't get too high on yourself. And if you've gone through 3-a-days or Swarthmore College, right, you can do anything. So thanks, everyone. I really appreciate this. It means a lot.
She is one of the most accomplished athletes of her time, leading 3 programs to unprecedented success. But when you talk to people about Katie, the response is usually, who? Who? And then the light bulb goes off. And it's, oh, you're talking about Katie Tarr. Katie Tarr, the 3-sport star, as they used to call her. Now that I think about it, I've never called Katie Katie. She's always Katie Tarr. You know, much like Pelé, right? Katie Tarr keeps both of her names, and she's just Katie Tarr. So she was a 4-year regional All-American lacrosse attack who played every game of her career, intimidating opposing defenders to the tune of 260 goals. In fact, she ranks second in program history in total career points, just behind fellow Hall of Famer Julie Laframboise, and assists, and just ahead of her in career goals. She was a 2-time All-Centennial Conference field hockey defender who played in all but 2 games during her field hockey career, leading the team to their only Centennial Conference championship appearance. In addition to intimidating opposing attackers with her tenacious defense, she managed 11 goals and 8 assists on the other side of the ball. And she played every single game of her basketball career, helping that team to its only Centennial Conference championship and only NCAA tournament berth. Her stats in basketball are emblematic of the balanced impact she had both offensively and defensively on each of her teams, as she finished her hardcourt career with a balanced 525 points, 346 rebounds, 143 assists, and 82 steals. Katie Tarr is currently the Associate Athletics Director at Bryn Mawr College, living in Glen Mills with her husband and fellow alumnus Brian and their 3 sons, who are all here tonight. From the class of 2002, welcome Katie Tarr to the Swarthmore Athletics Hall of Fame.
I think Adam's made my career sound a lot better than it actually was. So thank you to the nominating committee and the Swarthmore College Athletic Department. Congratulations to my fellow inductees. I'm very honored and humbled to be here today. When I think about my athletic career at Swarthmore, there were many wins, there were some losses, but I never lost to Haverford. And as some of the inductees have also said, I have countless memories of having fun on and off the court and the field with my teammates. But most importantly, there's a small group of people who guided me, mentored me, and influenced me. I'm thankful tonight to have the opportunity to share with you how they impacted my experience. I'm going to start with my 2 coaches, Karen Borby and Adrian Scheibels. And I have to. Without the support of Karen and Adrian, there would have been no way that I could have been a 3-sport athlete. Karen coached field hockey and lacrosse, and Adrian was my basketball coach. Adrian and Karen were open to me arriving late to basketball and lacrosse season, and we made it work. I didn't take much time off between the sports, and by the end of one season, I was really ready for the next. They gave me the opportunity to fulfill a dream of playing 3 sports in college for 4 years. I came to Swarthmore as a basketball player who played field hockey and lacrosse, but I left a field hockey and lacrosse player who played basketball. Each sport and each season afforded me the opportunity to grow as a player, a person, and a leader, and most of that is because of Karen and Adrian. Field hockey was not my strength at first, but I enjoyed playing. Karen challenged me to develop my stick skills and pushed me to become a stronger defender. She saw the potential in me that I didn't see. By the end of my career, I was playing center back, leading our defense, and being the main option on corners, which was really my favorite part of field hockey. I loved lacrosse season, and so did Karen. Her love of the sport is infectious. She allowed me the freedom to follow my opportunities on the field. She encouraged me to be a leader and allowed me to make a strong impact in all 4 seasons. Karen is a big influence in my post-Swarthmore career. I entered college athletics through coaching lacrosse at Bryn Mawr College. Karen's demeanor, her philosophy, and her ability to balance competitiveness with fun were areas that I valued and emulated in my coaching. Karen, thank you for your guidance, your mentorship, and your friendship. Throughout the stages of my athletic and professional career, you have always been someone I can trust and I can call upon. My basketball career was a little bit more challenging. I started every game my first year, and then midway through my sophomore year, I started coming off the bench. My role changed as a 19-year-old kid. It was the first time in my athletic career that hard work and effort did not equate a starting position. Junior year was a big shift. Before the season, I questioned what I loved about basketball. I considered stopping playing to focus on field hockey and lacrosse. I decided to continue playing, knowing I would have a new role and a new challenge that season. I came off the bench every game that year. But every day in practice, I made it my mission to be the best defender on the court. I knew I wasn't the best shooter, despite seeing some photos of me shooting in here. I don't know where they came from. And I wasn't the best ball handler, but I had found my niche. I loved playing defense. I loved shutting down the opposing team's best player. And I found my love for basketball again. Not only did we win the Centennial Conference Championship and go on to the second round of the NCAA tournament, I loved the role that I had with the basketball team. Adrian's love of defense and teaching defense made that strong impact on me. She challenged me to evolve my thinking about myself as a basketball player, which allowed me to fulfill a role and leadership position I didn't have on any of the other teams. She forced me to find my grit and resilience. Those characteristics made me a better person, not just a better basketball player. The last group that influenced me in my Swarthmore career was my family, all of whom are here tonight. I'm the youngest of three. I spent most of my childhood watching my brother and sister play sports. Amy and Chad were college athletes who provided a template of strong work ethic and positive attitude for me. Throughout my career at Swarthmore, they each were able to see a good amount of games, and they were not shy about giving their feedback to their younger sister. Chad would often ask after a basketball game how many fouls I had. He had this philosophy that if you didn't end the game with at least 3 fouls, and one of them had to be an offensive foul, then you weren't playing hard enough. As a Swarthmore graduate and basketball alumnus himself, Chad had a special insight into the life as a Swarthmore student athlete. I believe most of them had to do with what professors to take, what classes to stay away from, and what food was good at Sharples. Amy and I were just enough apart in age that we never got to play together. As the annoying younger sister, I did everything I could to follow in her footsteps, including playing the same 3 sports that she did. Amy paved the way for me and showed me what it looks like to follow your passions and follow your dreams. Going to college 20 minutes from home has its perks. My parents were at almost every single game, both home and away. My dad developed a real knack for finding gyms and fields on any college campus. When I decided to apply early decision to Swarthmore, my parents were excited for the opportunities that Swarthmore would provide me. Never did they question my playing field hockey, basketball, and lacrosse. Never did they suggest I stop playing a sport. They cheered on the team, they congratulated my teammates for their successes. They were always there for a post-game hug and always asked the question, "Do you want to have some dinner?" Of course I did. My parents never questioned my coach's decisions, even when my basketball starting position was lost and my playing time decreased. My parents showed me unconditional love and support. They were always there for me and always wanted me to enjoy my experience. Mom and Dad, thank you for showing me what it means to support your child. Your love and guidance allowed me to learn from my mistakes, find my passion, and do something that many people didn't think I could do. I was a 3-sport athlete at Swarthmore for all 4 years. My college experience cannot be told without weaving in my love story. Yes, my husband and I are a Quaker Matchbox. Brian played football for Swarthmore. We were and continue to be each other's biggest fans and support system. We weathered the storm together when the college decided to eliminate football our junior year. We are now teammates as we raise our 3 boys, Jack, Kevin, and Scott. I hope that they develop his work ethic, his ability to persevere through adversity, his love of sports, and his love of birds. I am honored to be inducted into the Garnet Hall of Fame. For me, this honor is shared with those who mentored me, influenced me, and encouraged me to do my best. Thank you to Karen and Adrian. Thank you, Mom, Dad, Amy, and Chad. And thank you, Brian.
If I asked you to name a team that had a 42-11 record, you might think, hey, how about last year's baseball team? They did pretty well. You'd be close. They did have 11 losses last year. But if we're talking about 11 losses over a 4-year span, we'd have to be thinking about the 1982, 83, 84, and 85 lacrosse teams. Fair enough. It was an era that saw Swarthmore dominate the lacrosse landscape, never losing more than 3 games in a season, 4 consecutive seasons in the MAC championship game, hoisting the trophy 3 times, an NCAA tournament appearance, and top 20 national rankings in 2 of those 4 years. The 82 team went 10-3, beating F&M for the MAC championship. As the 15th ranked team in the country and the MAC champion, one could be pretty confident that they would have been invited to the NCAA tournament, but that invitation went to F&M. Still don't get that. The 83 team would also end the season at 10-3 and also advance to the MAC championship game. In 84, it was wins over the number 7 and number 12 ranked teams in the country, combined with another run at the MAC championship and another turn hoisting the trophy. This time with a top 10 national ranking, the NCAA paid attention and the Garnet got the invitation to the tournament. The 85 team posted a record-setting 11 wins on their way to a repeat of the MAC championship. The 11 wins was a mark that stood until just 2 years ago when the team went 12-6. It was a program that had the type of success only found when the right combination of talent, chemistry, and leadership create a feeling of confidence that lifts a team to another level. I could go on here, but the head coach of these teams, Jim Noyes, is with us, and I know he's itching to get to the mic to share more about this historic era of lacrosse. And so as I turn things over to Coach Noyes, I welcome the 1982, 83, 84, and 85 lacrosse teams to the Swarthmore Athletics Hall of Fame.
It's a tough assignment. My guys refer to me as the oratorical equivalent of a blocked punt. I'm given 7 minutes to talk about these guys and have to finish by 9 o'clock. It's 9:03. So, Patton, somebody ought to pull the alarm down at the field house because we're going to be late. This is a story of being at the right place at the right time. But first, let me express our profound appreciation to Valerie, Adam, and the committee for inducting this motley crew into your Hall of Fame. When Tom Blackburn called in 1977 to ask if I had interest in coaching again, I faced a difficult decision. Because the business was growing at a fast pace, we were in the midst of an average compounded growth of 25% per year, which lasted from 72 to 89. It's something I really wanted to do, but didn't have the time. But Sue and the kids said, you gotta go for it. We'll help. Sue was at every practice, she did the laundry, on the spring trips, fed the guys, the girls were the ball girls. It was a family commitment. The first 2 years were colorful. The program had experienced 7 losing seasons and was unsettling to finally 3 experienced players report for the 78 season. So I set out to spend my time recruiting athletes from the other teams, particularly football. And this turned out to be the key to our success in the long run, because we figured out how to blend the core group of excellent lacrosse players with outstanding athletes who had never played the sport before and in most cases never seen a game. We had help from a number of people. Bob Barr, he's here tonight. Tom, you're cutting into my time. Bob was the ultimate gatekeeper, clearly the best in the business, and he had the uncanny ability to look beyond the numbers and read the character, talent, and work ethic of the applicants. And he wasn't afraid to take a risk, and some of you guys were a big risk. Tom Lipinski was a great football coach, but he attracted many of the men on our teams and encouraged them to play a sport in the spring, which isn't done today. Doug Weiss and Marie Mancini kept my guys healthy and on the field, and what they couldn't fix, Charlie Hunter could. A fundamental from the Easy Chicken School of Management is when you don't know what you're doing, the key to success is to hire the best support team that you can find. My assistants were the best. I have to take a second to talk about them. Jeff Miller, All-American football at Amherst, All New England and lacrosse, left here to go to Guilford where he was the NCAA Coach of the Year. Tom Korn, two-time All-American at Hobart, co-captain of that. Okay, come on, Adam's getting nervous. Co-coach at Hobart, assistant at Salisbury State and the University of Pennsylvania. I said at the time, and I still believe Tom was the best young coach in the country. Denny Fink, All-American at Drexel, member of the Drexel and Pennsylvania Lacrosse Halls of Fame. Went down to Atlanta and coached Chattahoochee High School with our daughter Jillian, and they won the state championship. No wonder Denny was there. Bob Bush, longtime coach, member of the Haverford High School Halls of Fame as a coach and a player. So now I got my paper. Bob is a member of the USILA Century Club for coaching over 100 wins during his career. We wouldn't be here tonight if it weren't for those four guys. The team. When you're trying to build something, you need a cornerstone, you need a pillar. That was number 16. Joe Vallis, who came up from Baltimore in 1980. You know his story, he's already in your Hall of Fame. He's one of the toughest athletes and finest persons I've ever met. Joe made it possible for us to go to another level. The blending of the experienced lacrosse talent with the in-house athletes fostered a group of young men who truly loved the game. They played lacrosse because they loved the sport, not because they had to keep a scholarship. Tom Lipinski referred to Swarthmore as the last bastion of pure amateurism, and these teams personified that. This group loved to compete. They didn't back down to anyone. They just, every day, they were excited to come out and be better than they were yesterday. 4 All-Americans. I have to point out Eddie Mann. Was an All-American in the 3rd year that he played the sport. It's incredible. Dominance of Swatties on the All-MEC teams. 3 of them, Scott Jordan, Eddie Meehan, and John Hyros, never played before they came, and they were all MAC. Hans Hurdle and Eddie were the MVPs of the league in 84 and 85. 5 of the first team, which is 10 spots, in 85 were Swatties. We would have had 6, but they didn't allow to get a vote for a defensive midi, and Peter Walsh was clearly the class. I've been asked about our game plan on numerous occasions. Carney referred to it as no plan. He wasn't far from wrong. Actually, our plan was for each individual to learn to motivate themselves from within, to be the best they could be. My belief was that motivation from coaches is artificial, and if a player can learn to motivate himself, that skill will stick with him for the rest of his life. And looking around this room and seeing these guys again, I can tell they're motivated. Our defensive goal was to control the midline and make something happen. Tom Korn. Put the ball on the ground, pick it up, and off we go. Jeff Leisure said it best in a note that he recently sent on his memories. Quote, making sure an opposing shooter never kept his feet. Quote, I love this one, running through any opposing shirt near a ground ball. Quote, looks like we got the ground ball, so I'm gonna sprint to the sideline so a skilled player can come on and score. That's how we played. We played a man-to-man defense that looked like a zone and a zone that looked like a man-to-man. We didn't know what we were doing, but the opponents didn't either. So this is a key part of our game plan. We figured if we could score 11 goals and hold them to 8, we'd win the game. The stats show that we averaged 12.5 goals, and we only gave up 6.9. So no wonder we won. In 1985, we held our MAC opponents to less than 4 goals per game. Now, we didn't lose to Haverford either. So our philosophy was to strive to be the best that we could be and have fun doing it. It was not easy to be an athlete at Swarthmore in those times. So the emphasis on having some fun was at the core of our program, particularly on the rigorous spring trips. You guys did both. You were the best and you had fun doing it. I bet you can't remember who you sat next to in history class, but you sure remember who you ran midfield with. So, Adam, I have another minute or two?
Why not?
I wanted to, well, I'm so impressed with, and I only know with some of these, but you talk about the quality of their lives since leaving Swarthmore. Here's some of the offspring. Captain of the Johns Hopkins men's lacrosse team. Captain of the University of Virginia women's lacrosse team. 2 captains of the Swarthmore College men's team. 3-time All-American cross-country and national champion at Johns Hopkins. 2-time All-American cross-country at Johns Hopkins. And it's hard for me to believe that the father was Eddie Meehan because he didn't like to run along. Academic All-American men's lacrosse at Dickinson. Captain at All-League women's lacrosse at William and Mary. All-American women's lacrosse player at the University of Pennsylvania. All-10 rookie team at Davidson women's lacrosse. I could go on, but time is passing. We're also equally impressed with the number we've coached at some point, given something back to the community, that sport they love. A note from Peter Walsh, quote, I've been coaching 7 and 8-year-old boys for the past 5 years and find it to be incredibly rewarding. Of course, it doesn't hurt that we've been crushing it. I remember saying before one of the championship games, win this one, and we'll walk together forever. Here we are, 25 years later, still walking together with many fine memories. And you can't buy memories, and they tend to live with you forever. You guys represent the very best that this college and this country have to offer. Your college is proud of you, and thanks for letting Susan and I come along for the ride. You were at the right place at the right time.
So listen, before we wrap up this portion of the evening and head down to Tarr Pavilion to unveil the Hall of Fame display, I want to recognize the people who helped put this event together from selecting the class to compiling the guest list, creating invitations, the catering, seating arrangements, programs, the slideshow, and so much more. The names are up on the screen, but please stand up and be recognized as you deserve to be.